Yeah, I think that we had to come into this week and be smart with 3 games in a week and make sure that we modified training in the appropriate way with the heat as well. And yesterday was about recovery. Even today was somewhat about recovery and making sure that we're prepared to do everything possible to have the guys physically ready and mentally ready for the match versus Houston.
And then on Saturday, I mean, let's face it, it's an outdoor game and probably no stranger to heat, and especially with background and the playing spots all over the world. Just but how does some real high indices of heat and high indices and extreme heat? How does that affect the game and your ability to play the game that you want? How do you manage all that with when it's going to be blazing out there?
Yeah, it's we know that the conditions are going to be really hot, and they were the other night as well. Maybe even ramped up a little bit more this weekend, and I think the players will be prepared for that. We're not going to adjust too much of what we do. I think we have to be ready for the physical toll of the match because of the conditions to affect the players, but also because it's the third match in a week for us. And we're playing against an opponent that has to deal with extreme heat, week in, week out in these months in Houston. So I don't think there's a competitive advantage or anything like that. I think it's going to be a big fight on the night.
And we'll take some from Zoom at.
We'll go to Dave Johnson.
Hey, Troy, can you start by offering an update on any health updates like Jackson Hopkins or any players getting back?
Yeah, I would probably go the other way. What we're fortunate about is to say that we didn't coming out of the other night. We only had 17 with 2 goalkeepers in total, and luckily everyone's still fit from the group the other night. So that's a positive, I would say. Christian and Jackson Hopkins and Steve are going to be a little bit longer. Jackson's probably got another 2-3 weeks, and Christian, I'd say somewhere in the time frame of a week to 2 weeks more.
Can you talk also just about what you're seeing defensively? Again, just a set piece beat you in Charlotte. It took a wonder goal against Atlanta, and you're doing it with having to put Garrison Tubbs in there, and I mean that with all respect, and just it's a makeshift situation, but it seems like you're tightening up on defense. Is that a fair assessment, or how do you look at it?
Yeah, I think defensively the last 2 matches we've really limited the opponents to very few opportunities, and we've done that pretty consistently all year. And in regards to Garrison and Matai, I think that they've played exceptionally well, particularly at points in their career where Garrison, this is only his, I think, 4th match in total and 3rd start, and Matai he's obviously 17, and he's, I think, probably around the same amount of starts and appearances at 3 or 4 for the first team. And I think that really does speak to the mentality of the group is still there. We're still giving ourselves every chance to win a match. The other night they make a play and we don't. And I think it's going to come down to that type of match again this weekend. Hopefully we can make more plays in the attack in third, and also do so, Dave, in the sense I love the way that we showed urgency in the last 20 minutes of that match, 15 minutes of that match against Atlanta, but we did so after we went down a goal. And so I want to see that urgency from the very beginning. We should be pushing the match. It's at Audi Field, and we feel a great responsibility to deliver 3 points for our fans.
Just following up on that, when we talk about creating urgency, but it's not as easy as flicking on a switch. But how do you make sure that occurs, or what's the process there?
Yeah, I think coming off of a difficult result and a few difficult results as of late, it's about making sure that the group keeps the right perspective in place. So, it can be easy when there's a little bit of a wave of negativity coming in to fuel that and allow that to grow. And that's not what we're going to do. We're going to continue to make sure that we address the things that we need to address, but not allow there to be this illusion that we're really far off of it or anything like that. We're not. It's going to be another match that we can win on Saturday, and we need to go about it in regards to knowing that we can do that. We just have to go out and make sure that we capitalize on the opportunities we create and limit the opponent as much as possible.
And just as you were talking about it, Garrison or Matai comes in, the spirit of readiness that seems to be flowing through the squad. And can you also just talk about? I mean, Peltla's. It seems like he's been asked to play a number of positions, and how his quick decision making maybe helps the role he's currently been asked to play, or just your thoughts there.
I thought Matty Peltola was excellent the other night. You know, he's someone that, again, as a young player, he's assimilating to a new country and a new league, and he's only 4 or 5 months into doing that. And you know, he's someone that has had performances that he can improve on, and he's made some mistakes, as have many of our players. But I think there's been way more positive than there's been negative for him, and he's continuing to grow. And the other night, man, that was, I think, one of his best performances, and we're going to need that again from him this weekend, and he can do it.
And real quick, just the thumbnail for you on Houston, what we should be talking about.
I think the first thing that we have to talk about when you talk about DC United is Ben Olsen. That's the number one thing that we need to talk about. And Ben would probably disagree because I don't know him quite well, but he seems to have the type of personality that is one in which is very humble and doesn't want the spotlight on him. But we want to welcome him back in the best way possible, because what he did as both a player and a coach here is really impressive. To sustain the amount of years that he was able to sustain as both a player and a coach is something that I aspire to do. And, you know, I think that's how I would lead off talking about Houston, is who they have leading their club now and making their club go. And what he's been able to do as a coach there is very impressive. I mean, they were in a hard spot coming into last year and trying to get their club going in a certain direction, and he did that. And they're still continuing to do so this year many, many times throughout the season. I think they build up very nice and can break lines, and when they break lines, they start to pick up speed and get to goal. And they're very committed defensively, so it'll be a tough match. And I think the way to honor someone like that that's done so much for this club is to show him and show, you know, the club he's working for now what we're trying to do as a club. You know, that's the way to really pay respect to someone like Ben Olsen.
Well said. Thank you.
Troy, we have one last question submitted via Zoom. A lot of younger players have gotten a shot this year and have stepped up in a big way. Can you talk about the maturity of players like Ted, Jackson, Matai, among others?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we talked about Matai and Garrison, Matty Peltola, Ted Cudipetro, Gabby Pirani's still only 21, 22 years old. Christian Fletcher's 18. I don't know if I mentioned Jackson yet, but Jackson's obviously, he's 18, 19 years old. We've had a number of players that have had to play significant minutes this year, and that's not easy. Let me say one more. Jacob Merle, 19 years old, rookie coming out of college. And what's even more difficult is the responsibility that they have to carry, especially whenever the results aren't exactly what we want. We know lately it's not been what we want, what our fan base wants, and we're going to get ourselves out of that situation, even with these young players who have to carry the weight of the results lately. We're going to get ourselves out of that situation. I believe in these young guys, but it's also, I look at it from their standpoint. They're growing, they're developing, and when you have to face these types of moments of adversity at this age, and you can come through it in a mature fashion, you're setting yourself up for a very, very good career. And I know that they're going to be able to do that. And these guys are willing to step up and take the accountability, even at a young age. And that's something that I'm very proud of them. And they're ready to go again. They're going to be ready to go again this weekend.